My name is Elena. For the last 8 years, I have been a ghost. Not the kind that haunts houses, but the kind that haunts bookstores. My husband, Marcus, is a literary genius. You've probably seen his face on the back of thrillers in every airport in the world. He's won awards, he's been on talk shows, he's rich, charismatic, and deeply intellectual. But Marcus has a secret. He hasn't written a single word of his books. I'm the one who spends 12 hours a day in a windowless attic room, crafting the plots, the characters, and the prose. Marcus is just the editor and the face. I stayed because I was insecure. I stayed because he told me my voice was too feminine for the thriller market. But last month, I found out that Marcus wasn't just stealing my work. He was using the money I earned to fund a second life with his publicist, a woman half my age. He was planning to divorce me after his next book launch and leave me with nothing, claiming I was just a mentally unstable housewife. He forgot one thing. I'm the writer. I control the narrative. And I've spent the last 6 months writing a masterpiece that will destroy him in front of millions. It started when we were both 24. We met in a creative writing workshop. I was the one with the talent. Marcus was the one with the ambition. I wrote a manuscript called The Silent Echo. It was raw, brilliant, and every agent I sent it to rejected it because I had no social media presence. Marcus saw an opportunity. Let me send it under your name, Elena. I have the look, the confidence. We'll be a team. We'll share everything. I was young and in love. I said yes. The book became a sensation. Marcus became a star. Suddenly, our roles were set. I was the supportive wife who preferred to stay out of the spotlight. Marcus was the tortured artist. But over the years, the team became a dictatorship. Marcus would lock me in the office. He would critique my drafts with cruelty, telling me I was lucky he was willing to put his name on my garbage. I was gaslighted into believing that without his branding, my words were worthless. The crack in the facade appeared during his last book tour. Marcus left his iPad unlocked on the nightstand. I saw a message from Brooke, his 26-year-old publicist. Brooke, when are we telling her? The new house in the Hamptons is almost ready. Marcus, as soon as she finishes the draft of final chapter. My lawyer says that if I file after the book is out, I can claim the intellectual property is entirely mine, since her name isn't on any contract. I'll give her a small settlement for her housekeeping and get her out. Brooke, she's so pathetic. How does she not know? Marcus, she lives in the stories she writes. She doesn't see reality. I sat on the floor, my heart turning into a cold, hard stone. He wasn't just a thief. He was a predator. He wanted me to finish one last book, a book that would make him another $5 million before throwing me into the street. I didn't cry. I didn't confront him. I went to the attic. I opened the file for the new book. I deleted everything I had written so far, and I started the real final chapter. For the next 5 months, I played the perfect submissive ghostwriter. I acted tired, I acted confused, I let him think he still had control. Is it done yet, Elena? He would bark, coming into the office smelling of Brooke's perfume. The publisher is breathing down my neck. Almost, Marcus. It's the best thing I've ever written. It's revealing, I'd say with a small smile. The book I wrote was a psychological thriller about a man who steals his wife's soul piece by piece until he realizes she has been poisoning him all along. But the brilliance wasn't in the plot, it was in the details. I used real dates, real locations. I hid Marcus's secret bank account numbers in the ISBN codes mentioned in the book. I used his real passwords as the codes the villain used to lock doors. But most importantly, I wrote the book using a very specific linguistic technique. I wrote it so that the first letter of every chapter, when put together, spelled out, Marcus Vance is a plagiarist. I am Elena. I wrote every word. I also planted Easter eggs, entire paragraphs taken from my private journals that I had notarized years ago, just in case. I sent the final file to Marcus. He didn't even read it. He was too busy picking out a suit for the launch party. I trust your work, Elena. It's the only thing you're good for, he said, and he forwarded the file to his editor. The book, titled The Invisible Hand, had a massive pre-order campaign. It was the literary event of the year. The launch party was held at the New York Public Library. Very prestigious. Everyone was there. The critics, the celebrities, Brooke, wearing a dress that looked like it was made of my tears, and Marcus, basking in the glory. I stood in the back, wearing a simple black dress. Marcus took the stage. Writing The Invisible Hand was the most difficult experience of my life, he said, looking solemn. It's a story about truth, about what we hide. The audience applauded. I'd like to read the final paragraph, Marcus said, opening a leather-bound copy of the book. This was the moment. I had hacked the digital ARC, Advanced Reader Copy, sent to the top 50 critics in the world an hour before the party started, and I had included a foreword in the digital version that wasn't in the print copy. A foreword that explained exactly who I was and provided a link to a Dropbox folder containing 8 years of time-stamped drafts, original manuscripts, and video recordings of Marcus admitting he couldn't write a poem, let alone a novel. As Marcus began to read, phones started buzzing in the audience. First 1, then 10, then 50. I saw the head critic of the New York Times look up from his phone, his eyes wide with shock. He whispered something to the woman next to him. The murmur grew louder than Marcus's voice. He stopped reading. "Is there a problem?" he asked, trying to maintain his genius persona. The critics stood up. "Marcus, or should I say Elena's husband, we just received the digital update for the book. Care to explain why the first letters of your chapters call you a plagiarist?" Marcus went pale. "What? That's a joke, a hacker." "And the link?" the critic continued. "The link to the videos of you asking Elena to fix the dialogue because you can't make it sound human?" Brooke stepped away from Marcus as if he were on fire. I walked from the back of the room to the front. The crowd parted like the Red Sea. I climbed onto the stage and took the microphone from his shaking hand. "Marcus is right about one thing," I said, my voice clear and steady for the first time in a decade. "The book is about what we hide. I've hidden for 8 years, but I'm a writer, and a writer's job is to reveal the truth." I looked at the cameras. I am Elena Vance. I wrote The Silent Echo. I wrote The Dark Mirror. And I wrote the end of Marcus Vance. The scandal was the biggest in publishing history. Marcus was dropped by his publisher within 24 hours. They sued him for the return of his advances, millions of dollars. Because I had documented everything, including his plans to defraud me during the divorce, the court was merciless. I was granted 100% of all the copyrights to all his previous books. Marcus was ordered to pay me back every cent he had siphoned into his secret accounts. He lost the house. He lost Brooke, who realized a man with no money and no talent wasn't worth her time. Marcus tried to write a rebuttal book to tell his side. It was rejected by every publisher because, as it turns out, he actually can't write. It was filled with typos and cliched metaphors. As for me, I published my next book under my own name. It was called The Ghost in the Attic. It broke every record Marcus ever set. I didn't need his branding, I just needed my own voice. Sometimes I see Marcus in the news. He's working as a low-level telemarketer. Apparently, he's very good at reading scripts that other people wrote. I live in a house full of windows now, and every time I walk into a bookstore and see my name, my real name, on the cover, I remember, you can steal a person's words, but you can't steal their story, because the story always knows how it wants to end.